I do believe in Aidan, and I think he's going to be able to feel a lot more comfortable. He looked pretty good in OTAs, and we're just going to continue to grow and learn from each other. And I've always been a big advocate for him because when he first came in, he came in real confident, balling in the OTA period and in preseason, and showed everybody what he has the potential to do. So we just got to keep working, just like with me and Aaron. I mean, if you were trying to count your chickens before they hatch with me, then you wouldn't have had no eggs. Because my first 2 years wasn't exciting nobody to think that it was going to.
But you won't turn out to what you turned out.
Exactly. So, I'm the main person sitting there saying, everybody relax. You gotta give time for the flower to grow. We watering it right now, and we're gonna ultimately see what happens with it.
Wow, talk about interesting comments made by Davante Adams. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Davante Adams speaking up on the Raiders quarterback competition. Right now, Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are competing with each other for the quarterback one job on the Raiders. Obviously, whoever wins the starting job will have the rights to throw the football to Davante Adams. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Will Gardner Minshew or Aidan O'Connell become the Week 1 starter for the Raiders? I am going to pick Gardner Minshew to win the quarterback competition. I've thought long and hard about this, and I really did not know for sure who was going to win the quarterback competition between those two guys. But ultimately, I decided to say Gardner Minshew would win the quarterback competition. The reason why I say that is because Gardner Minshew has more experience compared to Aidan O'Connell, and more importantly, Gardner Minshew is making more money compared to Aidan O'Connell. Obviously, we know in the NFL that draft status and money dictates playing time. Gardner Minshew is only on a 2-year, $25 million contract. It's not exactly like Gardner Minshew is getting paid that much money. However, when you look at the investments the Las Vegas Raiders have made, they're ready to win now. They got an elite defense. The weapons they have is pretty good. And obviously, they drafted a tight end in the first round. The offensive line is pretty good in general. The running game is going to take a hit this year because they lost Josh Jacobs in free agency. But I like the Zamir White addition in the starting lineup. Zamir White is going to be one of the better running backs in the National Football League next year. Watch out for the emergence of Zamir White. Obviously, they also got Alexander Mattison, an underrated running back. So the Las Vegas Raiders, they're set up pretty well in terms of running the football and having an above average offensive line. Davante Adams is obviously an elite wide receiver. He could play the Plaxico Burress role for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, you've got Jakobi Meyers, who's pretty good in his own right now. Do I think Jakobi Meyers is a championship caliber wide receiver too? No, I think Jakobi Meyers needs to be playing in the slot if the Raiders want to fulfill his potential. But at the end of the day, though, Jakobi Meyers is a solid wide receiver. They're really a quarterback away from being major contenders in the AFC. If they can just find a way to get average quarterback play out of Aidan O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, this Las Vegas Raiders team could certainly make the playoffs. I like the defense that they also have as well. Maxx Crosby was a man possessed. He was one of the best defensive players in all of football last year. He probably would have been in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation had the Las Vegas Raiders made the playoffs because the dude absolutely carried the Raiders defense. They added Christian Wilkins as well this offseason. He's an underrated defensive tackle, so I like the additions the Raiders made this offseason, and I also like the plan Antonio Pierce has brought along for the Las Vegas Raiders. Antonio Pierce has won me over in terms of how he was able to control the locker room. When Antonio Pierce was hired by the Las Vegas Raiders, that locker room was out of control and the team had extreme problems with their chemistry. But what did Antonio Pierce do with that issue? He set accountability and he got the players to respect his coaching style. And what happened? The players played hard for Antonio Pierce. They went 5-4 with Antonio Pierce as their head coach, and he ends up becoming the full-time head coach of the Raiders. I have a lot of respect for a guy like Antonio Pierce. Now, as far as my opinion on Aidan O'Connell, I think the guy is all right. I don't think the guy's a scrub. I don't necessarily think he's an average quarterback. I would consider Aidan O'Connell to be a below average starting quarterback in the NFL, at least as of right now. Aidan O'Connell is not Bryce Young level bad, but I don't think Aidan O'Connell is a great quarterback at the NFL level. I don't think Aidan O'Connell is a quarterback that can elevate a bad team around him. And I think Aidan O'Connell makes up for his lack of physical traits with his football IQ. I know Aidan O'Connell is a smart player. He knows how to protect his receivers across the middle of the field, and he knows when to take the check down. He's not going to turn over the football a lot, and he can take at least 1 or 2 deep shots a game. I just don't like Aidan O'Connell a whole ton because I don't think the guy has great arm strength, and quite frankly, he's not athletic in a league where athletic quarterbacks are at a premium. Aidan Aidan O'Connell is more of a traditional game manager in the sense that he's just going to keep everything short, he's going to check it down, and he's not going to do anything stupid with the football in his hands. I think Aidan O'Connell's numbers are inflated by the one game that he started for them last year where he balled out against the Brandon Staley-led Chargers defense where he threw for 4 touchdowns. You take that game away from Aidan O'Connell, he really only had 8 touchdowns in 9 starts. That's not going to cut it at the NFL level. At least he didn't turn over the football a lot, but it's not exactly like Aidan O'Connell was some fantastic player for the Raiders at the quarterback position. But let's talk about Gardner Minshew, man. The guy has put up great numbers for Jacksonville and Indianapolis. He even played well for the Eagles in a few starts they had for them. But do I think Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback? Not really. Why do I say that about Gardner Minshew? For starters, he holds onto the football too long. He throws the football in traffic all the time. He doesn't really protect his receivers well whatsoever. Gardner Minshew doesn't throw a lot of picks. Yes, that's really impressive, but Gardner Minshew also fumbles the football a lot, and he takes a lot of sacks, and he also gets scared of pressure. Gardner Minshew is not a championship caliber quarterback. Do I think Gardner Minshew wins the job though? Yes, and that's because Gardner Minshew has more experience than Aidan O'Connell. Obviously, you look at the Raiders roster right now, you're thinking they're pretty talented and they're ready to win now. The defense is elite. The offensive line is above average. They can run the football effectively. The receiving game is good for the most part in terms of the wide receivers. They just quite frankly need a quarterback. If they can just get average quarterback play out of this roster, they're going to be a playoff team overnight. Imagine if this team still had Derek Carr playing quarterback. When Derek Carr was on the Raiders, everybody used to say, oh man, if only the Raiders had a better defense. Well, now the Raiders have a good defense, but now they don't have a quarterback like Derek Carr. Am I saying Derek Carr is a great quarterback? No, Derek Carr is an average quarterback in the National Football League, but that's better than what the Raiders have right now. Aidan O'Connell is a below average starter, and Gardner Minshew is definitely a below average starter. There's a reason why 3 teams have gotten rid of Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew, yes, he can play for you in a pinch, but can he be a franchise guy that can carry your franchise on your back? No, he can't be. Gardner Minshew is a mediocre quarterback at the NFL level. Honestly, it doesn't even really matter who wins the quarterback competition between these 2 guys because Gardner Minshew and Aidan O'Connell are both the definition of mediocrity at the quarterback position. No matter who starts for the Raiders, I don't think this Raiders team is going to make the playoffs, and that's going to be a shame because the Raiders have a really good defense. They can run the football well, and their wide receiver core is pretty good. And I also like the coach they have as well, and Antonio Pierce, but it's a quarterback-driven league, and if you don't have an elite quarterback, it's going to be hard to win in the National Football League, particularly in the division they play in. They play in the AFC West division, where Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback for the Chiefs and Justin Herbert is the quarterback for the Chargers. And then you also look at how the Chiefs and Chargers also have elite head coaches as well. Obviously, we know the greatness of Andy Reid, and then there's Jim Harbaugh out there for the Los Angeles Chargers. Both of these coaches are better than Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce is a good coach, but in a tough division, you're going to need more than good coaching and a great defense. You're going to need the quarterback play to step up. And the Las Vegas Raiders don't have the answer on the roster right now. But you know what? We'll see how it plays out. I like the rookie tight end they have as well in Brock Bowers. I find it interesting how the Raiders constructed this roster because most teams, they like to get the quarterback first and then build the roster. What the Las Vegas Raiders are doing right now is forget the quarterback position. We're going to build the roster first and then we're going to worry about quarterback later to the point where we can plug in an average quarterback and bam, we're contenders in the AFC. That's the approach the Raiders are taking right now. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of that approach, but we'll see how it plays out. I think the Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to go 8-9 this year. They're not going to make the playoffs. I think quarterback play is going to be the biggest reason why they will not be in the playoffs this upcoming season. But ultimately though, I'm going to go with Gardner Minshew to win the quarterback job for the Raiders only because he has more experience than Aidan O'Connell. But at the end of the day though, does it really matter who wins the quarterback competition? No, because one guy is going to end up getting benched for another guy, and either way, they're not going to make the playoffs. None of these guys are franchise caliber quarterbacks. So that is why Gardner Minshew will become the week 1 starter for the Las Vegas Raiders, as he will barely beat out Aidan O'Connell. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I'm gonna shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.